Hi everyone, it's Sunday, July 14th, 2019. I'm just waiting while Rudy is taking care of God's house after church. And I have a really long letter here from Sean Shivers. And I don't know, he'll probably scan it this week and probably put it online. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, if you want to hear it, I shall read it. Okay, it says cover sheet and answers to the questions you asked. Yes, there's at least 12 questions on this page. Yes, I am a believer of Jesus Christ. Number 2, yes, I have the one you sent me. Number 3, my birthday is February the 27th. Number 4, December 7th, 2015. I guess that's 4 years in prison. Number 5, state charges were aggravated assault with a firearm, felony battery, resisting arrest without violence, federal charges conspiracy to distribute meth heroin, conspiracy to import meth heroin, plus a couple of enhancements, including firearms. That sounds like enhancements. I know this is a little off topic, but I listened to Chris Ann Hall this week, and she was talking about the Davis decision, the Supreme Court decision about enhancements and vagueness of crime of violence. And it was interesting, if you want to go back and listen, I don't know if it was Wednesday, she was talking about, her and her husband were talking about how these enhancements tack on extra time on top of the actual criminal offense that they're sentenced for, and that Kavanaugh said, oh, well, we can't change this Davis decision because then thousands of people will get out of prison, which we all found interesting because yeah, they've served their time for the crimes they committed, but the Davis decision tacks on extra time. And these aren't people that are convicted of murder or anything like that. They're not on death row, and they're not lifers, so they will be getting out eventually anyway. But Justice Kavanaugh said that they couldn't reverse this vagueness decision because thousands of people will get out of prison, which they're going to do anyway, and they shouldn't be in there anyway. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I thought it was interesting, the commentary, and I thanked Chris Ann for bringing that to our attention. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to continue reading this letter, and I'm trying to give this fellow Christian brother some respect here. It sounds like he's repented, I guess, for what he's done from previous letters, but there's so many prisoners in this country, and our ministry is growing by leaps and bounds with prisoner email or letters, and I personally like to focus on those that were targeted by the government for exposing government corruption. And anyways, I will do my best here. Okay, number 5. Okay, we read state charges, and yes, he was a drug dealer, or it says conspiracy, and oh yeah, so then it said a couple of enhancements, including firearms. Yeah, these enhancements I think is just crazy, but whatever. Okay, number 6, I'm sorry. As far as innocence, my state case, yes, except on the battery. My federal case, I am not innocent, but the case was grossly exaggerated. Illegal evidence, discredited informants. That's why the case went from a life sentence to 78 months. Of course, a huge challenge and war. I feel like I've read this before, but okay, maybe it's, I don't know. Number 7, No support from family or friends. My children's mom accepts my phone. I'm sure I've read this before. What is the date on this? Let's see here. The date, July 8th, he mailed this. Okay, maybe this is new. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, children's mom accepts my phone calls when I have the money to call. I haven't seen my kids since my arrest. People can learn, number 8, people can learn about my story through you and me in public record. Number 9, I would like to be able to call you and have my story told. Number 10, yes, our email system is TrueLinks or CoreLinks. Unfortunately, cost to use it. I'm not sure if I have funds available unless someone added money since I've been in the SHU. SHU is Special Housing Unit. That's what it stands for. A lot of people call it the whole. Another thing that jail lingo I learned was shots means like the guards call shots. That means punishment for things that they do wrong, supposedly. Okay, number 11, yes, I would like the Ruby Ridge, Montana Freeman books. I need help finding my high school transcripts. Number 12, no, I do not have my federal documents, only my state, due to all the informants who will case jump. Oh, that's weird. Okay, if given the chance, but have no problem requesting them if needed. Number 13, I have provided you the summary of my case and maybe a month or so a written testimony. Your wife read it to your audience, I was told. Okay, Brother Rudy, I hope I have answered all the questions accordingly. I hope to gain from your ministry. All I hope to gain for your ministry is fellowship, guidance, reading material, and much needed Christian pen pals. In return, I will help any way I can by any means. Thank you again, and God bless. Please let me know if you received this with a reply of your choice. And then I'm looking at this thing. It says legal story. It's dated 6/29/19. And I feel like I've already read this because it's from June and now it's July 14th. I can't believe time is going by so quickly. I guess it's not for prisoners, but I feel like July 4th was just yesterday, and here we are 10 days later. Anyway, it's the Twilight Zone. Okay, so let's see if we've read this. My legal story, please feel free to share. Also, how I heard about the ministry. Mr. and Mrs. Davis, how are you both doing today? How is the ministry? I received your info packet in the mail today, and so did Brother Jay Young. I regretfully have to admit Jay Young would like to cease all communication with your ministry. His decision is based out of fear and ignorance and an apparent lack of faith. Okay, maybe I haven't read this one yet. This doesn't sound familiar, but okay, good. One less person to read mail from. I, on the other hand, have an undeniable faith in my Lord and Savior. Therefore, I find what you and the ministry is accomplishing is amazing and much needed. Brother Rudy, you asked me in your response, how did I hear about the prison ministry? Honestly, that answer is an integral part of my legal story. Let me start by saying when I read your mission statement, I honestly was caught by complete surprise. I had absolutely no idea this is what Year of Jubilee Prison Ministry has done and been doing. Of course, while reading the first paragraph, I said to myself, great, here we go again. I'm going to get indicted for another conspiracy. I'm sorry, this is so funny. But after reading it 2 or 3 times and getting up with 2 other soldiers of Christ that I trust dearly, we prayed together about it, and as we separated, we each decided to give our final answers to each other in the morning. Well, here I am writing you this morning, and another brother wants to participate. The third brother is going home in 5 months and has cold feet. I would like to say that I feel my story pales in comparison to the stories of injustice you mentioned in your packet. However, I do have a story, a verifiable documented story filled with all the ingredients of injustice provided by these described chiefs of mayhem. The DEA, ATF, FBI, FDLE. FDLE, what's that? Law enforcement, I guess. Oh, Florida, maybe. Tallahassee Police Department, and now the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Oh, this is getting more interesting. But one of his friends, one of his friends named Jay Young is not interested, so don't write to him. He doesn't want our help. That's fine. Okay, so first let me explain how I heard about the ministry. Please don't hold me to exact dates on this topic. Just make sure I'm recording, because you never know with these machines if they're actually recording. I'm sorry, I'll get in a groove in a second. Okay, first, let me explain how I heard about the ministry. Please don't hold me to exact dates on this topic, but what I say around 2008. I want to say around 2018. I'm sorry, 2018. Okay, I'll get in the groove, don't worry. Okay, I was unjustly and illegally sent to a private for-profit prison named Blackwater River Correctional. Later changed to Blackwater River Rehabilitation Center. Nothing about it is a rehabilitation center. The prison is located at 5914 Jeff Yates Road, Milton, Florida, 32583. Okay, we know how he heard about us then. It would be either Pastor Kent Hovind, Dr. Dino, or Sean Stoller. Okay, how and why I was sent there will be answered shortly. While there, I was in the middle of a tug-of-war battle with the state of Florida and the U.S. government. I felt like a ping-pong ball in a ping-pong game between the two. In the midst of this chaos, I am desperately trying to search for the Lord's hand and find some sort of direction for my soul and life. I didn't have a Bible that I was comfortable studying and reading. Wasn't familiar with any chaplain services. Until one day, I look over the wall to ask an associate for a cup of coffee, and on his bunk he has several letters, Bibles, and newsletters covering his bed area. His name was David. Never asked his last name. Anyway, we got to talking about God and my need of a Bible, Christian pen pals, etc. Without hesitation, he said, "Well, heck, Shaw, go ahead and pick you one." David had one heck of a southern drawl. He then explained to me about an address he had for a Christian pen pal service. He gave me your names, did not mention Jubilee at all, just the names of you and your wife, and address. The only thing he said to me was that, "Shaw, I'll be honest with you, they're kind of radical." I didn't put any thought into that word. I figured he was speaking of and describing maybe the extreme excitement for Jesus. Then David began showing me the different letters he received from across the country and a few of the, oh no, these aren't in order. A few of the, oh shoot. I wish these prisoners, if they hear back, I should write to them and tell them this, but they need to number these letters when they're really long, because sometimes they get mixed up. A few, out of the country, I'm sorry. I said to myself, awesome, I want that fellowship. I decided not to reach out at that time because of the war between Fed and state. I didn't know where I would be. I didn't want to start a fellowship and, due to a transfer, etc., miss a letter or the prison mailroom play any games with my mail, which we all know they do. I told myself how and when this war ends will determine when I will reach out to you. That's how I heard about the ministry, Brother Rudy. Now, as I mentioned in previous letters about the Life Application KJV Study Bible, in regards to the testimony and how I received that gift, then to have it stolen, etc. It's a story for another time. Thank you, Mr. Davis, for sending me a King James Bible. Holy Bible, he says, which I like. Okay, now, the rest of this letter will explain my legal war and journey. I spoke about it in previous letters, but just a brief overview of the charges. By the way, I am currently still in the hole on day 29. I have yet to be formally charged and sanctioned. This 29 days is all what we call dead time. It does not count towards whatever sanction they feel they can impose. If they want, the sanction can be another 30 to 60 days, 6 months, no phone, 6 months, no email, 6 months, no commissary, and worst of all, take away 41 days good time. All of this for an incident involving my property, my Bible, and I refuse to make a statement or cooperate in any form regardless of my innocence or guilt. Another example of double jeopardy and oppression. So, back to my legal journey. On December 7th, 2015, I was located at a house in Tallahassee, Florida. During this time, I was experiencing the peak of my heart disease and condition. I was fitted with an external defibrillator life vest called the Zoll Life Vest. That's ZOLL. The vest is a high-tech medical device that can send a life-saving shock to my heart upon heart failure. It has a built-in hard drive and remote access, all equipped with a camera and GPS technology. It can produce a snapshot of my heart rhythm, date, time, location. I say all that to say this. That device on that night could have acquitted me of all the state charges against me. Anyway, on that night, the alleged victim claimed I used a firearm to assault them, battered them physically, and entered the property uninvited. I was charged with aggravated assault with a firearm, felony assault, burglary of an occupied dwelling with personal assault. The police reports indicated the alleged incident happened within a 17-minute window, but the victim stated the assault lasted a couple of hours. The firearm described was a 12-gauge shotgun. I was also charged with resisting arrest without violence because I was angry that this was fabricated. They never found a shotgun because it never existed. On top of all this, I'm having cardiac issues and my life vest fired off. I needed medical attention. In this case, I refused to make a statement. I learned a while back, rather you are innocent or guilty. Making statements can be spun around, twisted, added to, and etc. That's for sure. That night I go to jail and was given my formal charges and completely freaked out and went numb. The top 3 charges were punishable by life. It did not sink in until my lawyer, John C. Kenney, showed me the statutes and said, "Show you are facing life, period." Shaw. His name's Shaw. He then proceeded to tell me I have been a great client and I can get these charges reduced, on and on. This is going to cost you 25 G's upfront and any other fees we can work out. 25 G's. Somebody's making some money here. What a surprise. Okay. Shaw, my bond was a little over, I'm not sure if that's 70,000 or 170,000, either way. Well, I had a choice to wear an ankle monitor and a small reduced bond or sit in jail until my trial. I chose to sit in jail and fight for my life. Little did I know, while I was sitting in jail, another attack is being rallied against me. 4 months to the day, on April 7th, 2015, I was released from county jail into the custody of the U.S. Marshal Service. I went from one set of chains into government-issued Smith & Wesson shackles. Of course, I was shocked and in disbelief, completely clueless as to why. I will spare everyone the absurd details of the federal booking process. Let's just say I didn't know if I was being arrested by locals or the CIA. All this was psychologically terrifying. I remember this day and several other days during my fight like it was just 5 minutes ago. I originally was charged with conspiracy to attempt to import meth and heroin, conspiracy to distribute meth and heroin, contributing to several deaths involving heroin, and a lot of other aggravated charges, such as firearm allegations, shooting, narco-terrorism, money laundering. Oh, you scared me. Okay. This is a crazy story. No, I got my...
I know, but I can't crawl over units.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay. So this alleged investigation was started in 2000. Okay, so such as firearm allegations, shooting, narco-terrorism, money laundering. This alleged investigation was started in 2010-2015, was supposedly ended in 2015 upon my arrest. Now, before I continue, let me be clear on something. I respect your ministry's movement and cause. I respect your audience and those few people who took the time to reach out to me. With that being said, I will not lie or exaggerate my story. These are the factual events, and if anyone wants the documents for any clarification or can use them to help someone in a similar situation, just reach out to me. I am not 100% innocent. I admit that. The problem is, and was, that I was victimized by several factors: over-sentencing, illegal sentencing, sentencing disparity, and their breach of plea agreement. My first indictment had indicated only me as a defendant. The guideline federally only called for 120 months, which is 10 years. But 2 weeks later, I was taken back to federal court and re-indicted with a process called a super-in-seed indictment, with a co-defendant added, which later became a star informant for the government, of course. I was interrogated about another high-profile crimes and the offer of becoming an informant for a reduced sentence. Brother Rudy, everyone I know except my first lawyer wanted me to be an informant. I couldn't do that to people's families. Informants only care about themselves and not the avalanche of misery and turmoil it does to families. So the government tried another extreme tactic to force me to talk. They served me a notice of the enhancement 851. Now, so you understand, as of my writing this letter, there is not a countermeasure to this 851 document. It is a federal tactic they can use where if your punishment is a guideline of 10 years to life, if found guilty, your sentence is automatically doubled to 20 years to life, to which this is now, at the time in 2015, is my new guideline. The prosecutor was seeking life, no negotiation at the time. The 851 is used only intended to punish drug lords, Chapo, Guzman, Pablo Escobar types, for any prior drug conviction within a 15-year time span, regardless if you served time previous for it or not. Another example of double jeopardy. I had a previous cultivation of marijuana charge. That single plant put me in a bad situation twice. That charge was an adjudication withheld upon completion of probation. Once probation is completed, there is no record of the conviction in state law language, the federal language. Says otherwise. Okay, I hope I haven't lost anyone. or boring anyone. Okay, this is my 2 cents. Yes, you lost me. Yes, I'm bored. No, I'm sorry. This is your life, and I apologize for saying that. But when I hear about drug laws, the war on drugs, all this nonsense about people in cages for drugs, I say that the war on drugs has been lost. We lost the drugs won, and the war on drugs is lost, because all we have now is families ripped apart by people in cages and costing taxpayers and judges and lawyers making a lot of money. And it's your body, it's your choice, supposedly, they say. And if you want to put drugs into your body, that's your problem. And the drugs have won the war on drugs, and lots of bad people have got really rich, and this is so stupid. Okay, then back to the letter. The evidence against me was completely circumstantial. Just so everyone understands, for the federal charges, they never caught me with any drugs, guns, or committing any violence. They never produced any surveillance photos of me committing a crime. No wiretaps of me talking about crimes, no texts or emails of me committing illegal transactions. Out of thousands of emails and texts, they pinpointed one text message from my children's mother's phone. Based on that one text, they were going to charge her with the money laundering. But I took that charge on her behalf. They put GPS trackers on my vehicles. Still nothing. Was there a picture the government could paint of me being involved in drug distribution and importation? My answer is yes. Should I have been facing a life sentence for something that most offenders serve only 5 years or less, based on the true nature of the crime? The problem was they had informants lined up for miles to exaggerate and totally fabricate to get out of their own crimes. This is so common. They provided immunity and reduced sentences to these devils. This is so common. I don't even know why a court would allow any testimony from other criminals that are promised reductions in their sentences or anything else, favors, because they all lie. Anyway, back to the letter. The government would not let up at all. They took everything, and I spent everything fighting this case. Only through the mercy of God, a great lawyer who died suddenly in the middle of my case, named Cliff Davis, and horrible evidence against me, was able to escape the jaws of a life sentence. We fought through countless motions and challenged every fiber of the government case. Through my second lawyer, Richard Smith, and more motions, and 15 months later, I would negotiate 78 months with an option of concurrency with whatever the state sentence would be, as well as being housed at Federal Medical Center, followed by 10 years probation. Essentially a split sentence of 17.8 years. So, now after my federal sentencing, a week later, the state takes me into custody for my original state charges. Once through God, lawyers, and my diligence of studying law, we challenged the case and my diligence of studying the evidence. The victim and only witness to these bogus allegations started to be unreliable, wouldn't show up for depositions. The state can never produce a weapon. The arresting officer admitted to some wrongdoing in regards to my arrest. The judge refused to allow the data from medical device to be introduced. Finally, oh sure, let me just put 2 cents. They'll take the word from the informants and the prisoners over the data on his vest. which was a medical device. Finally, I, with my lawyers, drew up a plan to drop the burglary with personal assault and plead no contest to the other charges for a sentence of 78 months to run concurrent with my federal sentence, with an added stipulation of all state time to be done in federal custody. By the grace of God, they agreed with no resistance. I'm sure people are wondering why admit to these crimes, etc., unless you are in a person's shoes. You can't even begin to imagine the horror and feeling of despair. My faith in God was not there at that time in my life. I was playing in the devil's playground. Sin was my only breath at that time in my life. Taking the chance of a trial in the deep south, Tallahassee, Florida, no thank you. People would think that's it, the story's over. Okay, Shaw, you got blessed with a split sentence on both state and federal cases. Unfortunately, it didn't end there. 3 weeks after my state verdict, I am waiting for federal transport, and during this wait, my heart condition is worsening. Federal transport is on Wednesday, and state transport is on Tuesday. Well, 3 a.m. Tuesday morning, I am being told to pack it up. When I realized it was a state prison bus waiting outside, naturally I broke down within myself. I'd never been to prison before. There is other inmates all around me, yelling, screaming, telling war stories. Not to mention I am the only white guy on the bus. I'm telling anyone who will listen, there's a mistake, this is wrong, etc. No one cared. Everyone I spoke with either would not answer me or didn't care enough to find out. I remember that bus ride and me shackled up, slumped against the window, and hearing Michael Jackson's Pretty Young Thing blasting through the speakers and everyone excited yelling amongst themselves. You would think I was going to a concert or football game. Complete insanity. Went to a reception center to be processed and screened, aka humiliated. I stayed there for a month and then transported to the private prison for profit named Blackwater River Correctional in Milton, Florida. By the way, folks listening, I visited Sean Stuller there. It was hell on earth. Back to the letter. As I stated earlier, that's where I met David and first heard of your ministry. Once again, no one wanted to believe me or listen to me. Basically, if I don't correct this mistake, I will serve another 78 months, first in state custody, then another 78 months in federal custody. This is the moment I truly found the hand of God and embraced His love and word. This is also where I stopped feeling sorry for myself and lived in the law library studying criminal procedure. I found my remedies and answer, filed all the motions myself, represented myself, and was granted to be heard on the appeal basis of the state breached the plea agreement. The only legal remedies available were as follows: withdraw the plea agreement, modify the sentence, or grant time served and release me to the government. The state surrendered and agreed. I should not be serving an additional consecutive sentence. I scheduled to appear in the exact same courtroom, in front of the exact same judge who helped create this nightmare. How is this possible or even legal? Well, the day of transport, December 2019, 7:15 a.m., I'm on the way to the shackle room, and I am served a last-minute legal letter, which I have the original copy to this day. The basic letter stated, "We are still on schedule to bring you back to court to address the sentencing mistake. However, we are concerned about the optics of your highly publicized state and federal case. At this time, we are not comfortable in awarding you time served. Therefore, we would like to furlough you to the federal BOP long enough to withdraw the furlough, and the feds can then assume custody." This should work. These are the words of an assistant new prosecutor. Now, during the process, I acquired a litigation specialist to be the legal mouthpiece in the courtroom to speak and follow my written thought-out plan, completely backed by several case law and the original surrender letter by the lead prosecutor. In the appeal hearing, we started our position. Then the state made their statements. The judge said to me, "I cannot force the state to give you the time served." Of course, the judge can override any decision in the courtroom, but chose to follow his law. He explained my only choice is to withdraw my original plea. Furthermore, I need to know your decision now. I told the litigator to object and argue, and this guy whispers to me that it's the best option, agree to it. I asked to approach the judge. He responded flatly that he didn't want to hear from me. The litigator finally spoke up and asked for a continuance. The judge granted that motion. Back to prison I go. For 30 days I struggled, prayed, and searched for guidance. If I withdraw the plea, the case goes back to day one and is automatically set for trial. No more offers. I could be found innocent or found guilty and get life in prison. I prayed for the answer and I moved forward with my decision to withdraw the plea. I did this based solely on my faith in Jesus Christ. 3 days before court, I am called in by my classification officer for a legal conference call with the lead prosecutor and my litigator. The prosecutor apologizes for the mistake, and if I would sign the withdrawal of the plea, he would then immediately present me with the documents of time served. Then I would be released to federal custody. Once again, I had to decide on faith, that he would keep his word. I asked him one simple question: "Do you believe in Jesus?" The reply was, "Yes, I do." So over the phone, I accepted the deal. Went to court, and it happened just like we both agreed. Finally, that part of the saga is over. There is a lot more that took place. If anyone wants to get the entire story, please write me. Months later, I was in such bad physical health due to my heart that the government put me on a chartered private air ambulance, direct flight to where I am now, a federal medical prison facility. I have been here since March, and I've finally been getting proper care for my heart. I had surgery and a state-of-the-art pacemaker installed. First time in over 10 years that I have a somewhat normal heartbeat. Unfortunately, I am currently in the hole, taking matters in my own hands in regards to my Bible theft. I have been in total lockdown 24 hours. Supposed to be only 23. But no one here cares. I still have yet to be formally charged or sanctioned. I spent my isolation time reading whatever books I can find and my Bible. Okay, Brother Rudy, I'm impressed with what you are doing. I am glad there is a voice out there. Just for your information, I have zero support on the outside. Out of sight, out of mind. Please let your audience know. Letters are so needed and much appreciated. Please reach out to me. I would really like a copy of the Ruby Ridge book and any other books or information on the Montana Freeman, please. My finances are in a critical state, but I would like to offer myself to your ministry any way I can. Another brother would like to know how he can help. He wanted to know, do you accept donations, etc.? The answer is no. Please send me any information on fija.org. Oh, by the way, that private prison in Florida is owned by the GEO Corporation. 9 people died there from 2018 to 19. Wow, that's 9 people in 1 year. Please pray for these brothers. Anything I can do or help with, please let me know as soon as possible. Lastly, Brother Rudy, I have a personal request if you or anyone else can help me with it. I need copies of my high school transcript or diploma. This much needed verification would reduce my classification status by 2 points. Please let me know. Thank you for all that you do, and may God continue to bless you on this mission and journey. Sincerely, Shivers. P.S. I hope my long-winded story helped educate someone. Also, let you know my story. I was completed, blessed, but only after serving a trial by fire. I think he was completely blessed by a trial by fire. Okay, that's his letter. Thanks for listening. If you did, I don't know, but I did my best, and just wanted to add a couple of things of my own observation. This is the first time I read this letter. Usually I only read the letter when I record it for YouTube, and I don't read it before that. Obviously, it sounds like that, but whatever. Sorry. Okay, so I don't know what to make of this. It's a little bit overwhelming for me. I hope somebody can reach out to him and write him letters, because, I mean, he's in the hole 24 hours. He doesn't even get out 1 hour. Just lock yourself in the bathroom for 5 minutes and imagine that, because that's what it's like. This is not rehabilitation. This is not a correctional of any sort. This is solitary confinement, which is torture, and it really needs to end. And I guess I should stop there. This video's long enough. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your prayers. Thanks for thinking of our brothers in bonds. Remember, it's Hebrews 13:3, keeping your brothers in bonds in mind, and pray for them, because I can't even imagine what it's like in there. I'm sorry this video is really bad, and I should probably scrub it and read it and start over, but I can't be bothered, so sorry. Bye.